Hi, Liz.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you see the email that I sent you?
I did.
Okay, cool.
I am. How much do you think it's going to cost to apply for that grant,
It
or is it
didn't.
literally just filling out a form?
It is. It's there's just the form, and then we have to kind of give a little narrative. But they've already kind of produced all those documents when we applied for the original grant that we have. So I really don't think it would be much. Like maybe not more than 4 hours.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's a good idea because that'll definitely help the EAC out a lot.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was told about it last week, looked into it a little bit, and was like, we should maybe try,
Yeah.
especially because it's only for people that are within the American Water Service area. So it limits the pool a little bit more than some of the other grants that we end up applying to. So, and I was reading through the list of the recently approved ones, and what we want to do it for is like right in line with other projects that they've approved. And I saw one approved for 8,000. So I think we go ahead and ask for the full amount and just see what they
Yeah.
give.
Take it from there. Yeah. No, I think it's a great idea. I like it. Let's do it. So do you want to bring that up during? Oh, you're not doing a report
That's
tonight,
the
right?
thing. You would have to bring it up during yours. Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring it up, and then I'm going to defer to you to explain it, and then I'll make a motion, and we'll see what everybody thinks.
Okay.
And do we have any bridge updates?
So we had one little unfortunate snafu-ish with the permits. So we went to go and submit them, and we had previously been told that the PINDY process that we went through in early 2020 as part of the Pico Lot project, because it's right there, so it was within the buffer, was good enough. And now somebody else at DEP has said, no, you have to go through PINDY specifically for this project. So that stuff got submitted yesterday actually, and then I just got an email today that they, for the most part, we've been cleared for the major agencies. PA Fish and Boat did ask for some supplemental information, so I'll get that out to them tomorrow, and then once that gets cleared, then they'll begin reviewing our DEP submittal. So.
All right. So what kind of delay do you think that is? Is that like a day, a week, a month?
I'm not sure. I'm hoping that we're still going to have permits in hand by the end of the month, just with the fact that
Okay.
we seem to be reviewing stuff much quicker these days because a lot of people are just being tasked with reviewing permits and nothing else. So I think we're still okay, but that did happen.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as we're on top of it, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then anything with the sidewalk that's new and exciting, or kind of just a holding pattern?
Nothing really new and exciting other than Pico, when we had the meeting with them on the 8th. They were so on board with moving the utilities for the rest of the corridor and not just for this current phase. So that was really great news to hear from them. So I know that I provided all of the supplementary information that they requested so that they can put the work order through, and we told them that we would be hopeful that they could wrap up their utility work by the end of May so that we're set for a June construction for the actual sidewalk project. So, and they didn't seem to think that that was an unrealistic timeline for them. So.
Great. All right. So forward progress. I like it.
Yeah.
I think that's all the general stuff. I'm still working on the stuff for the proposed ordinance for all the elevations, not the elevation stuff, for the grading and everything. Yeah, the grading. So I was looking through that last week. So that's probably going to come up at next public works meeting, and then we'll get something on the agenda for that. So not much with that. Does anybody have anything else to add or questions? Anyone? Nothing? Wow. All right. Well,
quick meeting.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. All right. Well, everything's moving forward good, so let's not not turn anything into a problem.
I could try to find a question or complaint if you let me,
No.
process enough.
I think the only thing that I'm starting to worry a little bit about is the DCNR grant application for the land acquisition. Like we were pretty much told if we don't have an agreement with Pico, then our application is just going to go to the bottom of the list again. So I know Paula said she was supposed to hear from them this week. Anything yet or no?
Nothing as of yet, but they said by the end of the week, because the big bosses had it on their desks for review.
Okay, all right. Wow.
What about any of the
And
other
there's
grants?
nothing. Yeah, sorry.
What, John?
You say about the other grants, like for the sidewalk or the Mary Yardley Bridge, any update on any of those?
No, have not heard anything further about any of those.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just, yeah, my main question was just about if there's anything that can be, it doesn't sound like there's anything we can do except for wait. And it's kind of,
it's
you know, just the way it is. It's,
Yeah.
we're kind of in a waiting game.
Yeah.
We're just trying to stay on top of anything that comes up so we can handle it quickly, so nothing delays us. And then we're pretty much just waiting for answers and permits and get everything moving. But I mean, everything looks like it's as on schedule as it's going to be. So that's
yeah,
great.
I mean, I think the one thing with waiting that I just will throw out there is, and that I think we're not in the situation now, but in the past we were in the situation with PennDOT, and I'm so happy to hear actually that we're not. This is like where you're waiting, you hear nothing, and then it's kind of like it was to the point where there was a fear that contacting them would cause a reaction of making it take even longer. So it was like,
Oh,
it felt
wow.
like not like dealing with a government agency. It felt like dealing with some sort of, you know, organized crime or something.
Well, the last sidewalk plan was a little
Yeah.
unorthodox, so I
Yeah.
can kind of see how that might trigger something like that.
Yeah. So the only lesson from that, I think, is just like not to let it go to that point. If it helps to say, hey, did you remember we're here? You know, we're waiting, but just want to make sure you remember. Not to let that slip so long that it becomes scary to even mention the existence of
Yeah.
us waiting.
Yeah, no, luckily from everything I'm being told from our infrastructure group, things have been moving smoothly with.
Yeah.
So
Great.
seems like we're in a much better position this time around, thank goodness.
Fantastic. All right.
But we do have to do some digging with them currently about the Main and Afton project. The project is still technically open on our end because Armor and Sons has not sent us the last payroll certs for the final payment certificate. So we haven't issued it. So the project is still open. But I don't necessarily know if that means we can't close it out with PennDOT because we already received the final disbursement from them. Like Paul, you got the check from them at the end of the summer, right? Yeah.
Yes. Do you want me to reach out to Armor and ask them about that?
Yeah, you can. Like I
Okay.
emailed, so somebody sent out their documentation and then I responded back to them saying we didn't have the payroll, and then I checked in on it last month and I still haven't gotten anything. So I don't really know what's going on.
Okay.
But yeah, we'd be happy to close it out. There's no reason not to, especially when we decided that it made way more sense to have them address the height of the pedestrian signal poles during a typical maintenance contract so that we didn't have to pay prevailing wages.
And I think there's a lot of confusion with those signal poles. I don't think that's what they were talking about. I think they were talking about the center poles in the middle of the intersection, which I don't think they're going to be able to do anything with. So,
Oh,
And there's
Yeah.
still some confusion with those signals. They don't seem to work right. Sometimes you're standing there for 10 minutes when you push the button and then you have like 2 seconds to get across the street. Other times people turn left when it's still telling you it's okay to be in the middle. So I think they need to be looked at.
You definitely shouldn't only have 2 seconds to cross, so definitely want to take a look at that.
Is there like a document somewhere that describes what the correct phasing is for that?
Yeah, there is a phasing plan. It's a little difficult to read, but I
Is
could
it?
probably kind of distill it down so that it makes a little bit more sense for people. But yeah, the phasing plan that gets sent down to PennDOT is very specific to their template. So if you're not familiar with it,
I
it does
see.
take a bit to look at it. So
Because I know what I haven't had the experience of waiting 10 minutes, but I know every time I'm there, I can't quite figure out if it's supposed to be that way or not. I haven't noticed any distinct problem with it, but I mean, part of it is just that people turn without, without looking. I'd say it's better than it was before the switchover, but it's hard to tell also what the light is for the people who are turning when you're crossing. You can't see if they have a green light or not because you're like past where the light.
I understand what you're saying.
I know certain angles. Anyway, I have the question too sometimes is all I'm saying. And maybe if we had like a simple English explanation of heading south, this is what I don't know, however it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
I could make a little diagram that makes more sense to the layperson about what
But-
it would be.
That'd be good. But you've looked at it and it's correct according to what, have you
From
observed it yourself?
I know Derek checked it. I have not personally.
Yeah.
Derek is our traffic guy, and he's the one who did all of the plans and worked
Okay.
back and forth with PennDOT. So
So as
But-
far as you guys are concerned, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
that is my understanding, but I could certainly ask him to check in and see if it's still doing what it's supposed to be doing, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to generate like, more time on his hand, but I think maybe just being able to know what it is so we can just look at it and observe those people like in the community or me or anyone else who wants to could just go and take a look and say, okay, that looks like what it's supposed to do.
Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't had any more complaints about
Yeah.
it. So I think if there was major timing issues, I think I would have heard more. Or the police would have noticed since they drive it every day.
yeah. But I wonder though, you know how sometimes when you come up to an intersection that has poor visibility, it'll give you a warning of what the light actually is.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something similar to that we could do to kind of help with what you mentioned, that like as a pedestrian, it's really difficult to know what the light is on the other side. But
Well, I think, so one way, there are 4 directions cars can come from, and 2 directions, when the pedestrians have a walk light, they can't turn, right? They have a red light while the pedestrians have a walk light. But
right,
the other 2 directions, they can turn at the same time.
right,
So if you're a pedestrian, you don't know, like I know whenever I'm in that intersection, well, because of multiple near misses in that intersection, I'm always on the lookout anyway, but I don't know which one it is. I forget which one they can turn on, which until I'm actually in oh yeah, they're turning because they're supposed to. I don't know if there's like some kind of like, I don't know if the pedestrians need the warning. I don't know if it's just if the cars need the warning,
yeah, I know
Walk,
that.
they should feel safe to walk.
Yeah, I know that the one thing that we were able to do was to put in a slight delay of when they could make the left so that the pedestrians could
Right.
get out and be
Yeah.
in the walk zone. But the
Yeah.
thing is like if you're a pedestrian and you weren't there as soon as it turned to walk, but then you see that you still have walk,
Yeah.
you missed that window and you are
Right.
potentially putting yourself in a somewhat dangerous
Right.
situation.
Right. And that's the way I understand. That's the way those things work. Can you remind me which direction is the one that they have a delay? If they're driving north south, they have a delay.
I believe so. But I would have to double check.
So from Maine on to Afton.
Yeah,
is where
because
they
there's
have
a
delay.
turning lane going north.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to is I use it, drive it daily, and use it as a pedestrian at least 2-3 times a week. I think it's all programmed correctly and it all works correctly. But at the end of the day, people have to, when they're driving, not turn right into a pedestrian, and that's pretty much what it is. So you can
That's,
put up
yeah,
a million signs, a million flashing lights, a million everything, and if they're going to break the
They-
law, then
they don't know how to drive is the problem.
yeah,
I mean, and that's why I say it's better than it was before. It's
Yeah.
not, and maybe, is that a matter of enforcement? Is that do we need selective enforcement of that? Maybe, like, should that be brought to the attention of
I mean, do
the
we
police
think that
department?
do we think it's a situation where we wanted to have no right on red? And have a sign?
Like just a camera would probably.
I think that would be great, but I thought that we can't do that. I didn't realize that that was an option. Maybe we decided not to because we didn't want to delay the intersection. But I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's a great solution to that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
you're not supposed to make a right on red when there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk either.
Yeah,
So-
but
No, you're not, you're
people
supposed
are
to.
not
but
in that.
I feel like so many people automatically think in their head, oh, it's a red light, but I'm making a right, so I can still
Yeah.
inch forward, and they just do that, but. if
And
we
they don't
have-
even stop.
Yeah, they
Even
don't.
though they're supposed to
even-
stop, they don't stop.
Nope,
They slow down, maybe
yeah,
take a turn, and they're not expecting a person.
yeah. Whereas if there's a sign that says no turn on red, and I don't know why we wouldn't potentially be able to do that. I know that there were some concerns about creating backup, but I'm curious.
The other thing they did in Newtown, which might be, this would cost some money, but we do have a whole new system. So probably, I'm guessing this would plug right into it, is they have that electronic no turn on red sign that only turns on when the pedestrian light is
Activated?
activated.
No.
And then it turns off when it's not. So when say that,
Okay.
oh, you don't create traffic backup, you don't, because it's, it's as needed.
Okay, if that's right in Newtown, we might have been a part of it because we're the engineer there. as
Maybe,
well.
yeah.
So I will talk to Leanne, and she is the engineer there, and I'll ask her about that in Newtown. Only on when.
It's new. I just saw it. I'm trying to remember which intersection it was.
Okay,
But yeah. You know what I'm talking about though, right? It's sort of like, it's like an LED sign that,
yeah, I do. I've seen them before. I didn't
Yeah.
know that there was one in Newtown, but yeah.
Although people may not like any more signage.
Yeah.
in that historic area. I mean, I think you're gonna get probably some pushback if there's more light, anything that lights up or anything from the area, but.
yeah. Well, it's there's that, there's a fixed sign, there's doing that. I mean,
You
it's
can
all a
put
matter of like,
camera
which
up for
evil is less
enforcement.
evil, right?
Yeah,
Camera
I
for
agree. What, Dawn? It's hard to hear you.
a camera for enforcement. And sometimes when a lot of people get tickets, they stop doing it.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to actually do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
It's a
in
great
favor of
idea, but I
camera
think-
Enforcement either.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, I don't, that's like, there's so many legal challenges and issues with it
Yeah,
in Philadelphia. So
Oh,
it's-
okay.
yeah.
Well,
It's
most
too bad.
people cross
yeah.
before they get to the corner now because it's just kind of known that it's safer to cross like in front of the vault than it is to go to the.
I mean,
corner.
I don't think people
I
cross in front of the
disagree
vault
with
for the same
Yeah.
reason that people turn and not pay attention to pedestrian, because they just choose the path of least resistance. Like, I don't think we could do everything in the world and put a crossing guard at each section, and people are still going to jaywalk in front of the vault and run in front of cars. So it's just one of those things where it's like we can only do the best we can do, which is, I mean, we upgraded the entire intersection with the latest and greatest technology. So it's,
But there may be tweaks that we could do that don't cost much that might, further, now that it's done, right? It's like, if it doesn't, like if it's the cost of one more sign, but it stops that issue and stops, potentially somebody from getting hit, or, maybe it's worth it. The other possibility that we haven't spoken about in a while is having the printed, the brick printed crosswalks that are more visible and kind of send a statement to cars like, this is like a major pedestrian thoroughfare, not just a random crosswalk.
Mm.
And
That's good.
we, didn't we talk about PennDOT paying for that through some sort of like, they had paid for that somewhere else?
Yeah, so they do have a safety program that will pay for crosswalks, things like that. But you have to, that's something where like you have to get your representatives involved because it has to like get on like their district list and stuff about like a useful project. So it's
So
not
if we
like,
did that, if we reached out to a representative and asked for assistance, they
yeah,
do have a program,
that's
because if
probably,
it doesn't cost us anything.
no, you just have to get
Yeah.
on their list for the safety funds. Yeah, I can,
Interesting.
I know we were given a contact when we did a project um out in the Phoenixville area. So let me go back and take a look through that so that I can tell you the program so that you can reference that when you talk to your.
That'd be great. I mean, I'd be happy to just send an email out and
Yeah,
try to, Perry Warren.
Did anyone find out if that car accident was related to that intersection where the pedestrian was hit?
You would have to speak to the chief on it. I honestly don't know anything regarding what the outcome of that was.
I don't believe it was related to the intersection at all.
I'm not sure,
I
I'm
think-
not
I
sure
think-
this is true, so don't quote me on it, but there may have been like, I think I heard it was like, somebody was like, I don't know if they were intoxicated or there's something going on there where, is this the one where somebody's hit going outside of their car or something? Outside of a parked car, or is that a different one?
It was on Afton during the snowstorm.
Oh, okay, I think this is a different one. Wow,
All right. Well, I think we
talking
covered
about
everything.
so many pedestrians
Oh.
being hit.
That's why the lights need to get.
I think we covered everything. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything before we call it? All right. All right. Well, I will see everybody again in about a half an hour at the regular meeting. Everybody have a great 40 minutes or so.
sounds good.
Thanks,
I'm gonna get my
everyone.
dinner going. Bye, guys.